"Watch," he whispered. With each frame update, I saw a new shot of the inside of my house. First the kitchen. Update, the hallway. Update, my office door. Update, the door is slightly ajar. Update, the door opened more. Update, entering my room. Update, me sitting at the computer. I could hardly breathe. I turned around slowly, expecting to see someone there. But the video wasn't live, of course. When I turned around, the webcam was just a black screen. Because of that, I was able to make out the timestamp. It was tomorrow's date. I'm sure someone just fiddled with the date, but that only made it creepier, if that's even possible. Now I had video evidence of breaking and entering. Except for nothing to say about who did it or why. I was losing confidence in the police altogether. The last thing Ben said on the video is that he went ahead and traced that link I gave him to the hole. He was able to get a specific address. I knew the address he gave me very well. Because it's the duplex apartment I grew up in. That didn't make any sense. Still, I knew if I wanted to know what was happening, that's where I'd have to go. My hometown isn't too far from where I live now. I moved to go to college. It's about a 4-hour drive away. My mom moved to be close to me after Dad died, so I rarely have a reason to go there. I heard from Mom when they decided to abandon the duplexes. For whatever reason, they couldn't sell or rent them anymore and didn't have the budget to renovate, so the town government is just letting them rot. When I first heard that news, I didn't care much. I try not to get sentimental. But preparing to see the place again, where I had so many memories, it got to me. The days of watching He-Man in my fuzzy Star Wars pajamas. The days of watching the X-Files with Mom. The days of lying in bed all summer reading UFO books. Of course, I realized it'd just be empty space now, with nothing in common with those memories other than a floor plan. Those feelings vanished soon after I arrived. I was able to sneak in through the living room window in the back, just like I used to do when I'd get home from school and realize I forgot my keys. The moment feet hit the linoleum floor, the music started. It was low and distorted at first, so I couldn't make out what it was. It didn't matter. Someone had to be in there. And that someone knew I was there. I waited for a sound other than the music. Nothing. I felt a little more courage. So I started walking toward the stairs. The music got louder, but no less distorted. The tune was familiar, though. I went up the stairs slowly. That's where my old room was. By the time I got to the top, I knew what I was listening to. Early in the Morning by Vanity Fair. An oldie. And it was coming from a grimy old radio propped in front of my bedroom door. That was odd, because the same song started playing again when it reached the end. What radio station plays the same song twice in a row? I switched the radio off. Doing that, I realized, telegraphed my exact location. I broke out into a cold sweat for a moment waiting for something to happen. But all I heard now was a buzzing from in the room. Like a beehive. I noticed my name placard was still on the door. Other people had lived there after Mom left, I'm sure of that. Either those people chose to leave my name on a door in their home, or someone had put it back. Either way was weird. I opened it. I didn't and still don't know how to react to what I saw inside. The room had been set up to look exactly like it did when I was a teen. Not like it did after I left for college or even just before. Like it did in 1999. Down to the details. The Halloween lights around the desktop. Fangoria posters on the walls. My old Mr. T pillow on the bed. Someone had to have known my room in intimate detail to have done this. It was insane. Me, my mom, and Ricky are about the only ones. But there were some details that were off. At first, that was comforting. Then the more I thought about it, they seemed intentional. Like on the Candyman poster, it said it starred Tiny Lister instead of Tony Todd. And the wall was painted with the same style of stucco, but the color was a shade or two off. Things like that. They were everywhere. That was more troubling to me than the recreation itself. It's like it was recreated in a bad dream. Or it all meant something. I found where the buzzing was coming from, at any rate. It was the computer. It was running. I sat down and activated the screen. Like the rest of the room, the desktop was a faithful snapshot of 1999. Every icon was just as I remembered. I couldn't find anything running out of the ordinary. It was like being transported to the past. That's when I noticed the one thing out of order with my desktop. An icon way in the corner, almost off the screen, called Milk and Honey. I never had any such file. I'm sure of that. I started moving the mouse up to it. I felt strangely afraid to open it. Before I could, the radio started blasting early in the morning again. My heart almost stopped. I looked behind me expecting the worst. Nobody was there. I got up to switch the radio off. But it was still off. I checked the batteries and there were none. That's when I realized the music wasn't coming from the radio. I don't think it ever was. I wanted to get out of there. I've felt fear before. I don't think I've ever known what dread feels like before then. Not really. But I had to find out what Milk and Honey was. It loaded a telnet connection. I hadn't seen one of those in a while. The connection worked because in a few seconds, an ASCII mountain filled the window. I waited and waited for something to happen. But nothing did. Just the mountain. I tried submitting some inputs. I even wondered if the connection died. I was going to retry, but I got a phone call from Detective Terrio just then. "Are you alone?" he asked. I thought that was strange. But I told him I believed I was. But I wasn't sure. He asked where I was. I told him. He said I needed to get out of that house slowly and calmly, get in my car, and drive back to him. His voice, I knew that sound. It was controlled panic. Something was definitely wrong. I was ready to listen. But I told him I wanted to know what's going on. He said he had a gut feeling about something and decided to check back with Angelica to make sure everything was okay. Everything was not. He said that girl he'd put me in contact with 2 weeks ago was not Angelica. They had no idea who that woman was, because no one's been able to find her. The home she was in was apparently between renters. Nobody lived there at the time. All they found left behind was a script detailing what she was supposed to say when she spoke to me. I was speechless. And confused. I just readjusted my thinking to believe everything with Angelica was a lie. And now that the truth about the lie was also a lie, did that make the lie true? But it got worse. Detective Veralt said he contacted Angelica's family again and asked more questions. A lot more. She had every message I ever sent her printed out. Pictures of me. A map of my hometown. A doll. He said in some of the pictures I was clearly sleeping. Did I know of any such pictures? I couldn't speak. He took my silence for a no, and he was right. There's more, he said. But you have to get back here now. Calmly. I thanked him and prepared to do just what he said. That's when I noticed more had happened on the telnet screen. There was a question up. Are you alone? Is that you? I asked, but the detective had already hung up. I didn't really think it was him anyway. I just hoped. I responded in the telnet client that I believed I was alone. As soon as I did, the sound started coming from the computer speakers. It came out slow and garbled. This message is a warning transmitted by Dilatans after 2100. Break this device, shut it all down, get out, save yourself. I had no idea what it meant, really. I only remember it because it kept repeating, so I was able to record it. Other than that, I couldn't find anything strange on the computer. I unplugged it from everything anyway, just in case. I got up, ready to calmly exit like the detective said. I would have been okay, I think. But I saw something. Something that froze me in place. There were strands of dark hair flowing from under the bed. I just kept staring at them. Mentally, I needed to make sure I was seeing right, that it wasn't just threads. It was dark in that area, after all. My eyes adjusted slowly and I realized I wasn't just looking at hair. I had been looking right into someone's eye for half a minute. And whoever it was had just been staring right back the whole time. I screamed. And I ran, jumping several steps at a time, out the front door. Sure, it wasn't my proudest moment. What matters is I lived. I don't know who that was. I didn't want to find out. Knowing I was being watched that whole time. It still felt like that I was on me. That's pretty much ruined my memories of that place forever. There was just one other thing to do in town while I was there. The Egypt. I don't know if I disconnected the whole by unplugging that computer. But I still had to face the Egypt again. When I got there, the parking lot of the post office was completely empty. I parked in the back, in front of the filthy, old windows of what used to be an internet cafe. I didn't even have to break in. The glass in the door had already been busted. I just had to reach in and unlock it. My hands started tingling as soon as I reached in. I kept expecting someone or something to grab my hand. When I got in, I was shocked to see it hadn't really changed at all. Computers everywhere. A sign-up sheet is on the counter. And no one there. I started hearing some low voices. As soon as I did, I looked around for a place to hide. The voices continued, distant and muffled. It took me a moment to recognize my own voice. It was the conversation I'd had with Angelica. The part where she told me about being seen in places she'd never been. It was coming from one of the computers. I got closer to it and I could see someone was up on the screen. I knew what it was right away. The animated skeleton GIFs and links to conspiracy theories and Heaven's Gate. Yeah, it was my homepage. The one that was deleted almost 2 decades ago. I never thought I'd see it again. But why? Who put it there? On another computer, I saw a video of a middle-aged couple staring into the camera. Like they were watching me. And a little girl peeking over their shoulder. The woman said, "It chose you," and the man was shaking his head slightly. He looked frightened. Then another computer started playing a song. I recognized the sound of Vanity Fair again. Hitching a ride. That made it click. I just walked into a trap. I had to get out. But I couldn't. These people started coming inside. I hadn't even heard them approaching. A middle-aged woman with long, black hair, well-dressed. An older businessman, it looked like. A rough-looking homeless guy. More and more people crowded in without saying anything. They were moving toward me. I tried talking to them, but their faces were blank, emotionless. They didn't see me here. I ran into the bathroom and closed the door behind me. It had a simple turn-the-bolt lock, so I locked it.